34-year-old Latoya Odom, a native of California, is now brought it to the limelight that she has carried or has given birth to Pastor Jamal Bryant's child. You know, I felt that it was only fitting and it would be only right to do this video on a Sunday. You know, I stopped going to church a long time ago. I figured that there were other things to do on a Sunday than having to be somewhere listening to another man confess and orate and explain his views about where we're going to be after we pass on. Now, some people may say, well, I haven't developed a sense of humility, meaning that I'm not really ready, to submit to another man. It's not that. I take counsel from a variety of men. But a preacher who hasn't even experienced, who's never been to the other side, you can't tell me. Well, you can, but I'm not going to allow you to tell me what you're projecting as fact about what's on the other side after we die. And then I have to pay for that. And the punishment for non-payment is cast into some fiery hell that you also have not validated or been to. And in the so-called black community, black folks have an interesting way of dealing with religion and church and belief. I believe black folks are very tribalistic, meaning that where one goes, the others will follow. You can have a group of black men standing in an area, and I can jump like I'm going to run, and all 9 of those brothers are going to jump. It's the way that we're hardwired. Unless you get out and remove yourself from the flock. And many times dealing with black folks, I've experienced that you have to kind of remove yourself from the flock because you'll begin to believe in urban myths surrounding the so-called black community. Church religion is one of those top urban myths. And I'm not here saying I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in the God the way it's advertised to us. But only black folks, to me, it's been my experience, can think that Monday through Saturday that you can live the most vile, shady, backsliding life that you could possibly live, and that you can walk in to church on Sunday morning, sing a couple Negro hymns, get up in front of the congregation and hoop and holler and confess how much you love the Lord and how he brought you back from crack addiction and how you used to lay on your back every night to pay the rent. Only a foolish God would believe that. And then really, when you really think about it, it's kind of insulting to a God to think that you can do all those things and then come in on Sunday and I'm going to forgive you. If I was that God, I would be pretty insulted to think that's all you need to do to be square in the eyes of the Lord. I would be highly offended. But see, we don't think that way. And we think we can do all these things. We think we can treat anybody the way, any old kind of way. And, we sing and dance and, all these prayer groups and prayer dancing and all that foolishness. And we're good to go. We are squared away in the eyes of the Lord. Now, with Pastor Jamal Bryant, Mr. These Hoes Ain't Loyal, you see, the pastors have been, and I'm not taking a pro-black angle, have been agents of dysfunction in the so-called black community. You want anything done, you go through the black pastor. I don't care what it is. You got to go kiss the ring of the black pastor. Because we love leaders. Black folks love leaders. And it all goes back to our tribal, primitive, big man, which is an anthropological term. The big man, we all look for the big man to guide us. This is why having an individual opinion is not really looked highly upon amongst black folks in America. We have this very groupthink mentality, and to deviate or to have or to do other than that of the group is not looked highly upon. It's not. And pastors know this. And I compare it to women. The consumer industry knows how to target women. Most men can bypass all types of stores to go and get exactly what they want and come the hell on out of there. Women will stop at 20 different stores that they had absolutely no intention of going in there to look at in the first place. But the consumer industry knows this. Preachers know this too. This is why churches are filled with women, because women, the preacher knows how to gravitate and pull on the heartstrings of women in that respect. Men, and what happens is a lot of church leaders and even members of a so-called community will try to shame men into attending such venues under the guise of, oh, you're not being submissive, or you're not being humble to another man. No, it's not that. Most men in their right mind could spot and smell BS from others a mile away. Most men can do this, but you have a lot of men that push this aside, and they dutifully go and follow their wives in the church, fall asleep, pull the hard-earned money out of their pocket and put it in the pot for guys like Jamal Bryant, who sleep with unsuspecting, weak-minded women in their congregation, who for years have laid on their back, have slept with other women's husbands, have had illegitimate children consistently, constantly, have instigated, have lived the most vilest, unladylike lifestyle, now want to waddle their behinds in church and think that some Jesus is their man, because they've created all types of superficial, illogical prototypes of what a man is supposed to do. He's got to be over 6 foot. He's got to make over $100,000 a year. He's got to drive a BMW. He's got to have muscles. He's got to do this and that. All these but I'm supposed to take you. I'm supposed to look at you and not hold you to those same standards what you were like before you watered in church, thinking that everything's okay. I'm supposed to excuse that. And that's what you have in the so-called black church. A lot of women like this. Tattoos all over, unladylike. Look, ladies, some of you all, don't be offended. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. And if don't shoot the messenger, because some of you women know exactly what I'm talking about. Friday and Saturday, you're in the clubs, you waddle in the church, breath still smelling like alcohol and weed, and you sit down in your tight skirts and expect people not to pass judgment on you. And I've said, there's no shame in the so-called black community anymore. There's no shame. There's no repercussions to the vileness that has infiltrated many of our communities. There's no shame factor. There's no wearing of the scarlet letter. Everything gets shuffled off as, well, you old-fashioned. Or you need to get with the times, Painless. Or, here we go, Lord forbid you have your own opinion. If you deviate out there, oh, you are cool. Oh, you are Uncle Tom. That's why I said, a dude in the black church, I'm going to tell you how insane this is. I can murder 7 people, go to jail for 17 years, get indoctrinated, coincidentally find Jesus, come out of the pen, open a church, and them people, you may have 1 or 2 people that may look at you and question your history, your background in the past. But for the most part, I can say and sell anything to these folks, get all their money under the guise of Jesus and religion and Christianity. But yet, me, Painless, no criminal record, successful, never been to the pen, I question the very thing that draws you every Sunday to this building. They would think Satan is in their midst. Now that's how crazy religion has done to black folks. And it continues to do that to black folks. What other area do you know can you have a church on every corner? No lie. But yet, those churches are filled with 16, 15, 17-year-old young black boys, nowadays young black girls, whose mothers can't even hold an open casket because another 13, 14, or 15-year-old black boy or black girl then blew their son or daughter's face off, and she can't even see her child for the last time. Now, what other community do you know? That's why I say, a lot of these kids out here killing, I can see why they're not falling for that Jesus, blood, the Jesus nonsense anymore, because it really hasn't done anything. This is exactly why you can have all this religion side by side with all this killing, all this savagery, all this maiming, and they live side by one another. And that all correlates to the examples I just gave concerning the backsliding brother who then killed 6 or 7 people, did about 20 years in the pen, found God coincidentally, came back, opened a church, versus moi, who just questions all this. And I'm the bad guy. No criminal record. Somewhat successful. Not out robbing and shooting and killing and maiming other black folks. And they would swear Satan had sat right beside them. That's why I don't fool around. You see, we love entertainment, which goes back to our primitiveness. Song and dance. Feel good emotions. No logical thinking. It feels good to see young 11-year-olds up there in all white doing all these movements. God this, that, religion this. Now, again, I'm not anti. Religion has done some good. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying that there isn't a God. This isn't what that video is about. And I've said I don't believe in a God the way it's advertised. I don't believe in a God that most people bow down and worship to, because that God doesn't make sense to me. And I explain that briefly in the beginning portions of this video. But Jamal Bryant's they're con artists. That's what they are. They're bojangling con artists that have always been, I'm going to use this term, agents in the so-called black community. They've always been the individuals that have told black folks to turn the other cheek when they should not have, when they shouldn't. Have never promoted reason and logic. Clear reason and logic, but have replaced that with magicry, deception, illogical, feel-good notions of what they need to do. Black pastors are the enemies, to me, of what black folks have always needed to do. If you look in time, that's why people like me are, black folks are scared of people who don't sing or come with something new. Pay attention. Anytime you get around some black folks and you start talking different than what they've always been conditioned, they'll say one of two things. You've been around too many white folks, or he talking crazy, or where you from, or where you learn that from. Peep. That's how it goes. And some black folks will get mad at you because you think so differently. I mean, it's not even necessarily the information that you're presenting. It's just the fact that you think different. And it results back to fear, envy, and jealousy. Well, why wasn't I privy to that information? Painless. Where did you get it from? Meaning, you must have been around some white folks, which means you think you better than us. So you went out and got some information different than us. Now you trying to bring it back. It is very complicated. But people like Jamal Bryant, they're the facilitators of this. They're the gatekeepers of this type of mentality, and they perpetuate it. Now, all men fall. You see, me, I've never stepped out on my wife once. Been married over 13 years. But see, if I went out and did something like that, it is what it is. And you can judge all you want. And, but I have an issue with the man who purports to be of the cloth, to be so godly. Mr. These hoes ain't loyal. Out here fathering children. Out here contributing to the very things that keep black folks down. That's undeniable. He has contributed to the very thing that is wrong with many black folks in America. Illegitimate children and all the things that come with that. So it's not about, man, who is you to judge, bro? Who you think you with, bro? You ain't perfect. Well, you know what? You're right. But I'm not out here acting to be perfect. I'm no man in no cloth. I'm not. And then there's a righteous judgment. We all judge. You want Pepsi or Coke? Burger King and McDonald's. Churches or Popeyes. We all judge. People get on this self-righteous kick when you point out behavior that is detrimental. And man, you shouldn't judge. Well, judging is very important in life. This is like all these holier than thou women with their memes about only God can judge me. And all this self-righteous bullshit. When they done been on their backs half their life for cars and money. And now you're 40 years old and, shit is sagging. Now you think church, you're going to find some type of solace or some type of feel-good antidotes in church now that you done been on your back in your 20s and 30s, doing all kind of devious and shady stuff. Now this is your new angle now. And that's what it is. A lot of women's new angles now is church. And it's nothing against that. And there are some women out there, I believe, that are really genuinely trying to change their lives around. But when you're out here, when you're someone like this girl who Jamal Bryant has knocked up, 34-year-old, you decide to bring a child in this world, knowing the situation, knowing damn well the man didn't want to be with you. But see, a lot of women use children as bargaining chips. Let's just be honest. And I believe she's using him as a bargaining chip. There was absolutely no reason for her to bring this child into this world under these situations. Now, Painless, are you advocating abortion? Not necessarily. I mean, it is what it is. But she could have given the child away to adoptive services. Why struggle? A lot of women, now I'm going off into deeper waters or other waters. I don't understand why women bring children into this world knowing damn well, and then turn around and run to the state and then complain about struggle when you could have easily given the child up, afforded that child a better quality of life, but you're going to struggle. You're going to be a single mother with a child and then expected to get applause and pat on the back for somehow doing it all by yourself.